country's largest employer, we must lead by example, and after decades are finally doing so.
That was advisor to the president and first daughter Ivanka Trump at a White House summit earlier this month focusing on paid leave and child care. She joins us now to talk about that new federal employee paid leave policy and the path forward for other Americans. Good morning and thank you for coming in. Happy holidays to you.
To you as well.
Now, you have found an area of agreement with Speaker Pelosi, who championed paid family leave. You worked to get Republicans on board with what just ended up in the NDAA, which is to guarantee government workers 12 weeks of paid leave.
This has been years of discussion and education on the merits of paid family leave, grounded in conservative values of work and of family. And the reality is the world has changed, and it's changed quickly. Today, women make up 47% of the workforce, yet we provide the vast majority of unpaid care for children and of course, adult dependents. And it is not acceptable that in America today, 1 in 4 women go back to work 2 weeks after having a child. It's just not acceptable. We can't tell the private sector to step up and to offer these critical benefits to their employees and not be willing to do it ourselves. And it's taken time. It's been the course of 2.5 years of building out coalitions of support for this policy. But we have made more progress on paid family leave than in the 25 years since the Family and Medical Leave Act was passed. So you not only have this, and this is huge, it's a huge step forward in providing paid leave to all Americans, which is our ultimate objective, but we also, as part of tax reform, approved the first ever tax credit to employers offering leave to their employees making under $72,000 a year, which are the people that are very, very unlikely to receive it. So incentivizing employers to step forward.
How did you get the Republican caucus to support these things? Because there has been Republican opposition to any kind of government mandate.
This has been, as I said, the accumulation of several years of discussion. When I first came to Washington, I was surprised at how few Democrats had taken their argument for the merit of paid leave to their colleagues across the aisle. So it really was starting from the beginning and talking about this policy and framing it in different terms. So Republicans didn't want a payroll tax increase that disproportionately impacts the most vulnerable. So what are new solutions? We proposed the first ever bipartisan, bicameral plan that would allow people the flexibility to determine if they want to pull forward their child tax credit. And then pay it back over 10 years. And by the way, paying it back over 10 years, they'd still receive an annual distribution that is dramatically higher than what they received prior to us passing tax reform.
Are you, though, just to clarify that, are you endorsing any of those bills?
So the way I have approached this from inception is the president has made very clear he thinks that this is critical policy. And now we are working with members on both sides of the aisle to see who has the right policy to move forward and to be able to garner the votes to pass this into law.
And that could be a Democratic-led bill, but you would still support it.
It could be. It definitely could be. I think the option that has been put out there by the Democrats, without even opining on the policy of it, it has sat there since 2012, has never been scored, has never received the endorsement of a president, including President Obama, and has never received bipartisan support from colleagues in the Senate. So the way I look at it is the debate had grown stale. If we want to deliver relief to working parents who need this, we need to come up with new, fresh solutions. So we've been working with Republicans, with Democrats on proposing alternatives. And what has become incredible is that people aren't debating anymore whether or not paid family leave is good policy. They're debating what's the best policy.
But what did just become law,
Yes.
just to clarify for people who don't follow this the way you do, and what was tucked inside the NDAA is 12 weeks of leave for people who either gave birth or a woman or her partner, male or female, or if they adopted or
parent.
a foster
Correct.
caregiver. And with that, though, this was tucked inside in a way that some Republican senators said they didn't get to fully vet this, and they have highlighted some flaws in it that the FAA or the TSA or people who work at the VA, the veterans agencies, won't receive full benefits. Can you guarantee for all government workers that that will be fixed, that they will all receive 12 weeks?
The TSA is a flaw that applies to basically every benefit that members of Congress on both sides of the aisle have been working to fix. So it's not specific to this particular benefit. This applies to the full federal workforce, understanding that that is a meaningful glitch that has applied to many, many things for many, many years and that we're working to fix.
Will contractors get to receive the benefits? I think 4 out of 10 people who work for the government are contractors.
It applies to our workforce and under the same provision that all other benefits are administered. So it's consistent with that.
But you would like to expand it?
Oh, our goal is to ensure that paid leave is available to all Americans. But we're putting forth new solutions. A payroll tax increase is not going to be passed into law anytime in the near future. So what are the other options? That's why the Cassidy-Sinema bill is so interesting. It's bipartisan, co-sponsors in the House, in the Senate, and it provides people with flexibility. It is not a mandate on business. Oftentimes, small business cannot afford the mandate. So it creates flexibility and discretion for the benefit of the person who ultimately wants to use it.
How do you get a private business? You were in the private sector. You didn't have a policy yourself in the beginning, but now you support it. How do you ask?
Well, in my own business,
in your own
after I had employees, I did. So I think the fourth person I hired was pregnant when I hired her, so we put a policy in place for her. So everyone who's ever had a baby at one of my companies has had access to leave. So that, that's something I recognize as critically important. But I do think elevating awareness around the benefits to attracting and retaining the best talent this country has to offer. It is in companies' self-interest to do this, and that's why we've seen employers increasingly adopt paid leave. I had a conversation with Doug McMillon, the CEO of Walmart, about how important this policy was in the first year of the administration. Walmart adopted and expanded upon their parental leave policies following tax reform. I got a call from Doug right after they announced the policy change, and he said, it was the most popular thing we did, even more than raising our wage, offering that benefit, because it's incredibly valuable to families. But it is important to note that thinking about caring for the next generation, the most important resource in this country, and of course the parents, it doesn't stop at 12 weeks.
Whenever anyone hears you talk about the importance of being with your children, they also think about your personal, and you were vocal in your opposition to the family separation policy when it came to immigration and the U.S. border. You said that was a low point for you.
Correct.
We went and looked, and Homeland Security says there are still around 900 children who remain separated from their families. Is that something you continue to remain engaged on when it comes to immigration?
Well, immigration is not part of my portfolio. Obviously, I think everyone should be engaged, and the full force of the U.S. government is committed to this effort to border security, to protecting the most vulnerable. That includes those being trafficked across our border, which this president has committed to countering and combating human trafficking in an incredibly comprehensive, aggressive way. So the full United States government has been focused on this issue, starting with the president.
Ivanka Trump, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.